Every day something amazes me. Like, I always think that I'll never be amazed again, but then things happen. Never ceases to amaze. Anyway, hey, what's going on, guys? So what am I working on now? Well, I have a Subaru Legacy Outback, a 2013, and it's got 165,000 miles on it. And this morning, the customer came in, comes walking through the door, and we kind of look at him like we know who this guy is. We've never seen the car before, but we know who this guy is. And he's not a customer of ours. You remember me talking about other shops in the area, how they do subpar work? Okay. He is the service manager of one of those shops. Figured maybe he was in here just to, say hi. Who the heck knows? But nope. He says, hey, I got a transmission problem with my Subaru. Need you to look at it. Okay. Didn't ask, why aren't your guys looking at it? I mean, he's not a transmission shop per se, but they're a full service repair shop. And I think I've featured some of their work in the past that they've done, and it's not been great. So, okay, what's going on with your vehicle? Well, it's shuddering really, really bad. Okay. That's it? Yeah, that's it. But I think it needs a transmission. Okay. So I get in it, and I scan it for codes, and it's got pressure sensor codes and shutter type codes and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, okay. Let me check to see if this thing's low on fluid. So you got to pull it inside to do that. So I started up. It's got a pretty heavy exhaust leak too. So I'm like, all right, well, in case we're going to wind up doing a transmission on this, I know the exhaust has to come out. Let's just see what we're getting involved in. Maybe we got, rotted flanges that, are going to disintegrate when we take it apart or whatever. I put it up in the air, and somebody's already put a transmission in this, a used one. So I got a funny feeling I'm going behind his own shop's handiwork if he has us do it. And I think his guys just completely botched this thing up. Let me just show you. Words can't even explain. Let me just show you. So here's the exhaust. You have to take the exhaust pipe out to facilitate pulling a transmission out of this thing. This transmission is an LKQ, salvage yard unit. Okay, usually LKQ has good stuff. But if you look up there, see, there's oil everywhere. I don't know if you could see that. There is oil everywhere, okay? I noticed that under the hood. I first popped the hood open. I could see oil all over the underside of the hood. I'm like, where the heck is that all coming from? Then I'm looking at the transmission cooler lines underneath the hood, and I can see those there. Those are brand new hoses with brand new hose clamps. Okay, well, my thought on this is they put a transmission in it. They cut this exhaust pipe. Why'd they cut this exhaust pipe? Let me show you why I think they cut it. So if you look up here, you take this flange out. Sorry, let me back up. You take this flange out, take that flange out right there, and you drop this piece out. And I got a funny feeling they hit that top bolt and snapped it off up in there, and then decided to walk away from that part. Although it does look like they might have come off there. I don't know. It's hard to say. But what a goober job this is on the exhaust. And it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'll be honest with you, on these, most of the time, if I have a problem with those bolts, I take the whole pipe off of the head. There's 3 bolts on this side, or 3 nuts, and 3 nuts on this side, and usually that whole thing comes right down without issue. So why they did all that, I don't know. So what I got to do now is I'm just going to read up real quick just to verify how to check the fluid level on these, because I'm pretty darn sure you check it through this plug here, and it's got to be running and everything else. So I'm going to just verify fluid levels in that and then go from there. But I got a funny feeling if this thing blew a transmission line off like I suspect it did, it's going to need a transmission. These CVTs, they do not like that. So, all right, let me go ahead and do that and see what happens. So just reading up on it, and yes, I am correct. Start it up, it's got to be a certain temperature. He drove it here, so the tranny has temperature in it. And basically pull that fill plug out, and you're supposed to get it to the point where it's full, where it starts to drain out of the base of that plug, like you're filling up a differential, let's say. But that's basically what they want you to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Just wanted to show you under the hood. You can see the oil stains everywhere from these tranny cooler lines. So, yeah, big mess. So you can see it was all the way over here. That's why I think it blew a line off. I think it's supposed to have quick connects, and somebody put rubber hoses on there. I'm not sure. I'd really have to look into it. But all right, let's put it up and let's start checking fluid level. Now, one thing that's totally amazing is there's no exhaust leaks here in this disaster. The exhaust leak is here at this donut. So, like I said, I heard an exhaust leak. I really thought it was from up here or up at that flange, but nope, it's right here. So that donut flew apart, I guess. All right. Well, let me get some stuff here so I can pull that drain plug out and we can check it and see where we're at, or fill plug rather. Sorry. Now that fill plug is an 8mm. I have 8mm Allen. I have these Allen keys, these extra stubby or half cut, I think they're also known as. And I have them through Matco, but I know they sell them through Vim, and I used to have Vim, and they became unavailable for a while after COVID and everything else. But I'm pretty sure they're still available, so I'll put a link in the description for them. But these things are awesome. They come in so darn handy. I actually think these are made by Vim, but I'm not sure. But I have them here, and I tell you what, they come in so darn handy. I also have a Torx set, which, like I said, I'll put a link in the description for them. But these are super, super handy. All right, let me put you up here so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, you can see that, yes. Because now I'm not in the camera view, so, or not for myself to see it. Oh. Anyway, taking the snot out of that. The reason I started tightening it again because the socket was stuck in there. And sometimes you go to tighten it, it helps break it free, but it's stuck in there again. So now fluid is supposed to dribble out at this point, and it's actually way overfilled. Like, why is it that overfilled is beyond me. Let me just make sure that I am at the right plug, because there's a plug on the other side too that's much higher up. Let me verify I'm at the right plug. Hang on 1 minute. Alright, so in the description I can see this switch here and the starter up, that's all the way up there, which you may not be able to see, but it is all the way up there. That's the starter up in that location. So yes, this is, oh wait a minute, unless it's this one. No, this has got to be, that's got to be differential. Let me look at it one more time. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, it's showing it towards the backside right here. So this is the fill plug and a level plug. So this thing is severely overfilled. And severely overfilled can cause an awful lot of problems. Jeez. How much fluid they put in this thing? Wow, this thing is overfilled. How did you even manage to get that much fluid in it? That's got to be 3 or 4 quarts. I mean, I'm just draining it into my drain bucket here, but that's got to be like 3 or 4 quarts overfilled. That's insane. Well, now I know why they didn't want their own guys to work on it. I bet you anything, I don't know. I'd be worried about that they put the wrong fluid in the differential portion of this. But they could have destroyed the transmission in the process. It's possible when you overfill it that bad. Wow, yeah, this thing had to be a good 4 quarts overfilled. Be careful when you're doing this. My hands are very callous, so I'm used to it. Because this fluid is pretty warm. It's over 100 degrees. So it's just something you got to be mindful of. All of a sudden the AC started leaking out over there. I'm like, where the heck's that fluid coming from? Alright, so it's slowing down to a slow drip. I'm good with that. That's fine. Because the fluid level will rise quite a bit. Transmission fluid expands quite a bit. Okay, let me clean this off. Trusty brake clean. Be careful. Some brake cleans are flammable because if you're spraying near a really hot exhaust or a possible spark source, you can start a fire. So just be mindful of that. All right, let's let this thing down and let's see what happens with the transmission. All right, I cleared out the trouble codes. I'm gonna take it for a quick ride up the street. Before, when I stuck it in gear, it would shudder like mad. Didn't shudder that time, so don't know if it's actually fixed. It may not be, but being that severely overfilled, that's a problem. And like I said, they could have damaged it already. It does have a delayed engagement, I will say that. But before, just sticking in the gear and moving it the way I'm moving in the parking lot right now, this thing would shudder like crazy. So overfilling a transmission is just as bad as not having enough fluid in it. You can severely damage it in the process. Well, let's go up the street and see what she actually does. And this is a CVT, so CVTs are not very happy with abuse, neglect, or anything like that. Overfilled, underfilled, wrong fluid. Ooh, wow, this thing pulls all over the place. Well, it's got a bad axle. I know that. Santa Claus is just walking down the street. actually don't feel bad. It don't feel bad. I mean, it may have to just get used to having the correct amount of fluid in it. I can't believe it was that overfilled. That was a good 4 to 5 quarts overfilled, maybe even more. I mean, that was a lot of fluid. I wish I saved it. I just didn't even think it would be like that. But there you get to see stuff that I go through. It's kind of wild that this guy's a service writer at a shop and he won't have his own guys work on it. That to me is pretty wild. That should tell you something. This thing's got, must have a broken motor mount or something too. I think the alignment is way out of whack because you start to accelerate, and I don't know if you could hear that when I did that, the tires started to screech. I mean, this is an all-wheel drive. And also when the tires started to screech, it started to sway one way or the other. So something going on there. Give it gas, it's just all over the place. The transmission does not feel terrible. Like I said, LKQ transmissions, anytime I've ever bought a used one from them, it's usually been pretty darn good. So, and they disclose the mileage and everything else, and usually I try to pick one with the lowest mileage possible, but there again, if it affects how much the transmission is too. Like if you have a car with 200,000 miles on it, and I can get a used transmission from LKQ with 20,000 miles on it, but it's going to cost me $3,000, or I can get one with 100,000 miles on it, and it's going to cost me $1,000. I'm going to get the one with 100,000 miles on it. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't spend that kind of money on one with 20,000 miles, but that happens sometimes. And the reason for that is because with 20,000 miles on it, it's pretty darn close to, a new unit. So they look at the price of what, the new unit might have been 5,000, so they're going to try to sell it for 3. And I understand that. It's, that's how business works. But unless I had a car with very low mileage, which happens every once in a while, we got a car with very low mileage and we want to put something in it with low mileage. So I need to get to a spot. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull into Honduras here. Excuse me. Let me see how this thing acts in their parking lot. These companies usually don't like me coming into their parking lots for test drives, and they have signs up, but usually I don't mess around. I don't do burnouts or anything like that, and I don't do anything reckless, so they usually don't bother me. I've had the security come up to me before, like, what am I doing when I've been doing like figure eights and stuff. I'm like, I'm just, oh yeah, it's shuttering. It's shuttering. So let's try to accelerate here. Yeah. Unfortunately, but see how it's pulling all over the place. Unfortunately, they ruined the transmission, but that's because I guarantee you it's because they overfilled it so badly. I don't even know how in the world they got that much fluid in it. I really don't. Because the transmission doesn't feel bad right now, but it's shuddering pretty substantially on a takeoff. And that's internal in the transmission. There is nothing you're going to do about that. I'm going to go back to the shop and then let's see if this thing actually has any codes in it, because I cleared all the codes out. Start spinning the tire. I mean, it's an all-wheel drive. It shouldn't be spinning the tire. Try taking off right here. I could feel it coming to a stop too. It just shuddered. Yeah. Obviously you heard that. So it destroyed something inside the transmission by being that overfilled. So unfortunately, gonna need another transmission. All right, let's get back to the shop. And I bet you it blew an internal seal or something out having that much fluid in it. Or it destroyed the torque converter. That's possible too. It could have destroyed the converter. That's what. Well, that would explain the shutter too. So, but overfilled, not good. So let's get back to the shop and we're just going to check our codes. All right, so I'm doing a scan on it again, and let me just tell you something. Have you ever been to the dentist and they're drilling into your tooth, and you can kind of smell that smell when they're drilling into your tooth of like the enamel being ground up and stuff like that? That's what this transmission smells like now. It smells like dentist. That's the only way I can describe it. But I'm running it for a scan right now, and of course codes did come back even though I cleared the codes. So let's just see what they are as soon as this is done. It's going to take a minute. I don't know why this vehicle takes so long, but it does take a minute. So let's let that go through, and then we'll see what the codes are. All right, so secondary oil pressure sensor performance. And I know that code from past vehicles that I've had to deal with, and every single time it's been a transmission. They tell you can put a valve body in it. I actually had somebody that wanted to put a valve body in it. They wanted to try that. And you're talking like a $1,500 repair putting a valve body in it. They wanted to try that. And I said, don't bother. It's not going to fix it. No, I went to the forums, and the forum said, okay, well, if we put it in, it doesn't fix it. You still got to pay us. Okay, not a problem. Put it in, didn't fix it. So there they spent $1,500 on a valve body plus labor, and then they didn't have a working transmission. They had one that was doing the same thing as this, shuddering like crazy. So yeah, this is going to need a transmission. All right, well, don't overfill your stuff. All right, guys, if you're getting something out of my videos, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, have a great day. Keep wrenching.